Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the very first New Zealand Zinzino practitioner training. So it's a very exciting day, something that we worked towards for quite some time. And I want to thank also Mr. Robert Hawkins, who was on the call, and he is the COO for Australia and New Zealand. So it's we've worked very, very long and hard on getting the product available into New Zealand. So yes, it's a great day to actually be able to do the first training as well. Um, yeah, and most importantly, well, the man of the hour, let's say, is Mr. Stuart Tomc, who is an absolute phenomenon in the natural health space. He's a man with 30 years of experience in the natural health industry, working with supplements. He's the former educator and global ambassador for Nordic Naturals, and he's sold over 1 billion in supplement sales over that time frame, and has done over 6,000 interviews now in terms of radio interviews, TV, and podcasts as well. So I tell you what, if you could harness this man's energy, you could pretty much run a whole city. So he's an absolute phenomenon. So yeah, we are very, very lucky and very privileged to have him on the call today. So without further ado, I will hand it over to you, Mr. Stuart Tomc. And again, thank you for your time. Fantastic.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Robert. Just such a blessing to be here with you. Everything that I'm going to share today, I learned from the top omega-3 scientists in the world. Oh my goodness, my job was so much fun with Nordic Naturals. I traveled all over the world and I would get to go to these science conferences. And I could walk up to these living legends in the omega-3 space. They were still alive. I was running the Nordic Naturals booth. I was the Nordic Naturals guy. And I was there launching the product all around the world. But my favorite part was learning what was really happening. I fell in love because of them with lipids. I call it the big fat story. It's kind of sticky, it's complicated, and not everybody gets it. But it started with the Inuit paradox. And what I'm about to share with you, I truly believe is the next level in the omega-3 conversation. So let me share the slides that I prepared with you. After all of these years, we now know that the omega-3/6 ratio of arachidonic acid to EPA, just like in the 1971 Inuit paradox paper, and the amount of omega-3 in the red blood cell is the most important number for health and longevity that you don't know that you should know. Now there's consensus there. And I'm going to make the argument that this Scandinavian life science company has created the most important product and supported it with 1.4 million tests, real world data to prove that it works, that it's a contribution to the omega-3 story. And here are the statistics of those 1.4 million tests. 5% of those tested, these are at-home blood spot tests. This is going to be the future of all of nutrition, right? These at-home blood spot tests, 5% of those tested have a ratio of arachidonic acid omega-6 to 1 part omega-3 EPA of 3 to 1 or lower. 20% of those tested take an omega-3 supplement like I did as the face of Nordic Naturals, and I still failed. That's 20%. 75% of those tested don't take any omega-3 supplements, don't eat enough cold water, oily fish, and they have a ratio of 15 to 1 or higher. But check this out. 95% of those people taking the balance oil that you'll learn about daily have an omega-6/3 ratio of 3 to 1 or close to that after 120 days. That's just where we have to start, because I know about the omega-3 space. You know about the omega-3 space. It's big science. There's lots of data. This is a huge contribution to say that 95% of the people out of 1.4 million after 120 days go from out of balance into balance. And I want to show you what the process is, because it's not just about the product. It's what they call the balance concept. Now, I gave these blood spot tests out when they first started 20 years ago to executives at Whole Foods, GNC, Vitamin Shop. People were afraid to prick their finger. oh, what is this, right? The omega-3 index paper, Bill Harris and Von Schacke was 2004. I was doing it since the 90s. But now this makes perfect sense. The only way to know what's going on in the patient is the tissue, which is the issue. So you take this at-home test. Then where does it get sent? That's important. It goes to a third-party independent laboratory in Norway that has won QA/QC Laboratory of the Year multiple years in a row. I went there. I had to see it myself. It's remarkable. It's in the Science Center in Oslo, Norway. They're one of the first places to do dry blood spot testing in the world. They work with the World Health Organization. They work with Cambridge, Oxford, the Max Planck Institute. They have machines there that are testing every biomarker. It's incredible. Then they have their balance oil concept, which is the balance oil I'm going to get to teach you about tonight, that I learned from Zinzino, a contribution. 20 to 25 days after testing, you get your results. You continue taking the balanced product for 120 days because that's how long it takes for the red blood cells to turn over. And then you retest so that we can show the patient before and after their quantifiable results. They're the easiest of all of the blood spot tests for the patient to understand and read because they're color-coded from red, yellow to green with 25 pages of dietary advice as well. So what is actually happening when we have this imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3? On a fundamental level, we have reduced cellular function. Nutrients do not get into the cells as effectively. Waste products don't get out as effectively. That's just a foundational benefit of getting back into balance. When we go from out of balance into balance, then we are returning the normal structure and function of the cell membranes. And we've learned something recently that's so exciting. If you are low in omega-3, you've got a low omega-3 index and a high omega-6/3 ratio. The red blood cells don't have the shear strength to become half their size to get into the microcapillary, to carry oxygen and nitric oxide more effectively through the whole body. So increasing that omega-3 index can also help increase VO2 max. This is yet one of the other pluripotent, pluritropic mechanisms of action. So it's not just helping with a healthy inflammatory response. We understand that. But the cell membrane structure and function of going from out of balance into balance, and now we can help measure it for the patients. So we found the best way to do this is you need the omega-3s of the Inuit and the polyphenols of the Mediterranean. This is what Zinzino has figured out. And I believe it's the best omega product in the world. I'm going to explain how they came up with a Mediterranean diet in a bottle. So they start with world famous Lysi omega-3 oil since 1938 in Iceland, one of the top. There are only a few places like this in the world that did it, like Nordic Naturals did, like Lysi. There are only a few places like this. So we start with this 2010 EPA DHA triglyceride form, not ethyl ester, fish oil at the highest quality with the lowest level of peroxide and Totox and anisodine values. Just it's now made where you can all get it. Used to be pretty rare. Now it's a commodity. And we take that and we blend it, I'm going to show you, with the highest polyphenolic rich olive oil on the market, and have the polyphenols, I'm going to teach you about this, wrap around the EPA and DHA like little amphiphilic liposomes to increase their bioavailability. Because it all starts in the marine microalgae. Polyphenols and omega-3s, the polyphenols on the outside, the omega-3s in the middle, that's where all EPA and DHA come from. Now, just on April 11th, the Office of Dietary Supplements updated their guidance on DHA for preterm and early preterm birth prevention. This just happened. The agency recommended that all women of childbearing age receive at least 250 up to 1,000 milligrams of DHA daily. Every woman of childbearing age. This is finally hitting the mainstream. But you see where there's a disconnect here if you're seeing this? It reminds me of vitamin D like David. First they said 400, then 800 IUs, until we started testing all the patients. And we want to be between like 30 and 125 nanograms per deciliter for vitamin D. Omega-3 index, the omega-6/3 ratio, those are the next big numbers. And the reason this is such a big deal is this is the first time the government has officially recognized that omega-3 can reduce the risk for a human health condition. So for all women of childbearing age, we want to make sure everybody has at least a 3-to-1 omega-6-3 ratio and an 8 or higher on the omega-3 index. So here's the chief science officer for Zinzino, Paul Clayton, Cambridge, went to Oxford. I think he's the greatest in nutrition alive today. Here's his blog. Teaches us that fish that eat pellets have omega-6, they don't have omega-3. And they all get it from the algae. That's where it all comes from. And these polyphenols wrap around the omega-3s for protection. Now, when you strip out the mercury, the PCBs, the dioxins, the fire retardants, and the microplastics, you rip out the polyphenols. I didn't know about this. I was wrong. I'm out there trying to argue that purified fish oil is the same as eating fish. I was trying to argue that purified fish oil was the same as the Inuit diet, but something wasn't adding up in the research. And when Zinzino laid this on me, and I was fortunate enough to follow this for 20 some odd years, I thought, wow, the polyphenols are the missing link. That is what is missing. So in this paper from Professor Clayton in the Royal Society of Medicine, he goes back to the pioneering work of Danish researchers Hans Olaf Bang and Jorn Dyerberg. Dyerberg is still alive. In 1971, the first paper was published. The Inuit paradox that started the whole thing. And they argue in this paper that just like we had to put omega-3 in infant baby formula for children, we need to put polyphenols back into the omega-3 products for adults. Because you're taking the omega-3s because of their role, but why are you taking the olive oil? Because of the polyphenol content. And consumerlab.com just tested all of the polyphenols. The highest olive oil was 654. Keep that number in mind. The Journal of the American Medical Association last year published 92,000 adults. Over 28 years, the consumption of more than 7 grams of olive oil was associated with a 28% lower risk of dementia-related death. Now, if you're into lipids, you make oleic acid. All of it, all you need, 18 carbons long, 1 double bond. You're taking the olive oil because of the polyphenols, right? That's the missing link. So balance oil is not fish oil. It's a relationship between land and sea. And the olive oil with the polyphenols wrap around, mimic nature, and act like an Uber. Now, the reason this is so exciting is we have 1.4 million tests to demonstrate that it's more bioavailable, but I'm going to show you more. This is the polyphenol content in the balance oil. 650 was the highest. This is 750. So imagine wrapping around, causing these amphiphilic liposomes that move the fatty acids through the trophic levels of the fish and increase in the tissue, which is the issue. The algae oil, 750 milligrams of the polyphenol part. The omega-3s are the omega-3s. They're amazing. We all know that. But this is the combination. The Aqua X for people that want to just put it into a liquid. Some people without gallbladders have been using this with some effect, which is very nice. But look at the black label one, 2,650. So every bottle is like eating 1,200 pre-harvest olives. The highest amount of polyphenol content was 650. This is 2,650. So when they blend them together during manufacturing in the nitrogen environment, that's when the polyphenols wrap around the fatty acids. You can't just take olive oil and eat fish oil at the same time and get the same results. So we own 49% of the olive oil producer. The evidence of the combination of polyphenols and fish oil is impressive, increasing potentially glutathione threefold. Combining olive polyphenols with omega-3 is in the literature. That's where I got that graphic from. And they make it very clear that these natural polyphenols present in marine oils play an essential role in protecting omega-3 from oxidation and auto-oxidation. So yes, all the fish oils were pure. They weren't oxidized in the bottle, but they were oxidizing in your body. And here with the polyphenols, it ensures that no pro-inflammatory products are formed after intake, as often happens with refined omega-3 concentrates. I was just a little stunned to learn this. I was totally wrong. So when they showed me this, here's balance oil at 250 degrees next to cod liver oil, concentrated fish oil, and krill oil. At the oil stability index, it's more stable in the bottle and in your body. So here's the peer-reviewed evidence on the finished branded product. Fish oil, polyphenols, and physical performance. our original science. By the end of the period, they reduced the average omega-6-3 ratio from 12.5 to 3.5. Boom. Football soccer team, Europe. Rates of absenteeism due to infection and injury were reduced by 85% and 57% respectively, contributing to improved performance, morale, and position in the league. And I'm going to show you even better data. They just sounded this huge alarm. This is Artemis Simopoulos wrote a letter to the White House about the dangerous omega-6, omega-3 imbalance. There's the letter. And then just recently, Joe Hibbelin from the NIH, known as a proponent of the benefits of fish oil, was appointed to the top of the National Institutes of Health. I've had the privilege of working with both of these folks, but it's just showing you how big it is right now. Joe Hibbelin, who's now in charge of the Health and Human Services branch of this whole omega-6-3 conversation, says that many costly diseases of modern civilization may be linked to this dramatic shift in the fats in our food supply. So the school solution, this is the future of all of omega-3. Test, don't guess. 100% of people should take the test. It's a stunning statistic. 95% of people that follow the Zinzino balance protocol, the balance concept, dramatically improve or pass. So 1.4 million tests prove that this stuff works. The real world evidence, I'm going to close with this. This is the most important thing I'll share tonight. When you look at the map that Zinzino has, this interactive map of the world, 8,000 people is a big randomized controlled trial. Like reduce it. Half of the trials can't be recreated anyway. But this is 44,549 people in the United States, far, far, far fewer in other parts of the world. I'll just show you here quickly, but look at that. They started at 22.6 to 1. They got down to 3.5. That's real world data in 44,000 patients. In Canada, 3,746. They started at 14.6 to 1. The average score comes down to 3.1. In Sweden, out of 140,000 people, from 10 to 1 to 2 to 1. And in India, from 40 to 1 to 4.1. This real world data, that's the future of demonstrating whether or not your stuff works. Look at Japan. Even they're eating fish like they do, from 7.6 to 1 to 2.9 to 1. So what we're encouraging everyone to do is just to know their number. And our results measure 11 fatty acids, stearic and palmitic acid, the omega-9 oleic acid, the omega-6 species, EPA and DHA on the omega-3 side, all of them, the omega-3 index and some other indices as well. So here's a real world patient that was taking tons of omega-3 and failed the test. After 120 days, look at her test result. It's beautiful and easy for the patient to read. So in closing, I believe truly it's the most important number, the most important product, and our job is to keep healthy people healthy. There's 6.3 billion people deficient in omega-3 around the world. They just added the omega-3 index to the pooled risk analysis. So it goes age, smoking, blood pressure, LDL, and then omega-3. It's twice as predictive as LDL. So I believe it's the best omega-3 product in the world, a Mediterranean diet in a bottle. Thank you so much for letting me to share with the group this evening. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Robert.